Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be looking at Robert Sapolsky, a famous proponent of, or rather, opponent of free will, proponent of determinism. So we're going to look into a little bit about his claim. He's made a lot of claims, but I've selected just a short little thing here that really gets to the heart of the issue. So let's jump right into it.
You're choosing between Coke and Pepsi. You're choosing between invading this neighbor or that neighbor, whatever it is you're making. And you form an intent. You're consciously aware that you're making this decision. For most people, that's necessary and sufficient to say that's it. There's free will.
Yeah, okay. That is true. So far, I agree with him. We're forming an intent. We're making a choice to say that there's free will. I don't know what other people mean by free will, but at least when I say it, and I think when most people say it, it means that we have the ability to make choices. It doesn't mean that we have the ability to make all choices, but that we have the ability to make some choices. For instance, we're driving to the grocery store and we're trying to find a space to park our car, and there's some car spaces that have cars in them and some that are free. We could choose to, hit the car that's already parked in a parking space, or we could choose to park in the space that's free. So of course we can't choose that, if there's cars in a space or not. That's just a fact that's outside of our control. It's a metaphysical fact that a car exists in the space, or it's also a metaphysical fact that this space has no car in it. And we choose. We do not choose how the layout, the topology of the parking lot looks, but we choose how we react given the metaphysical topology here. Okay, let's go on.
Well, that's like 1/10 of 1% of what you need to be paying attention to.
Okay, it's 1/10 of 1% of what we need to be paying attention to. What do you mean by what we need to be paying attention to? In order to do what? Let's see if he says anything about that.
Because when you actually make a choice, you form an intent and you choose something. We're not thinking, how did I turn out to be somebody who would have that desire, that intent at that point?
Okay. You're saying it's only 1/10 of 1% of what we need because we're not thinking about other things. That's not a reason, right? Okay, let's go on.
Unless you ask the question, how did they turn out to be the sort of person who would form that intent at that moment? And that's where all the free will disappears.
Okay, so how do we turn out to be the person that forms that intent in that moment? That's the question he says you must ask. Well, we could ask that question. Is that going to satisfy him? He thinks that just because we don't ask the question, free will disappears. Or maybe even if we ask the question, he's saying that the answer is too complex. So just knowing the complexity of that answer, of what were all the determining factors that led us to that moment to make that decision with that intent, make that choice. He says, then since it's so complex and you couldn't answer, free will disappears. Well, this is just a simple mistake of, like I illustrated with the parking lot. We don't get to choose everything, and we don't have to explain how the parking lot got to be full in that way. All the moving parts of, down to the materials of what the parking lot is made of, and then the reason of why the parking lot was made, to serve what purpose, and then all the people that are coming there, why they're there, and all the materials they're using and why they're there. He's basically saying we need to be able to answer all of these things in order to have free will. But this is just a mistake. We don't need to know all of this to know the fact that we have choices. We make choices all the time. And this is free will. It is not all powerful free will. It's not godlike universal, infinite free will. That's not what I am saying anyway, and I don't think that's what anybody else is saying that's arguing for free will. But that's essentially what he's arguing. So he's arguing against a straw man. They're saying that free will means that you need to be able to know everything. Otherwise, you don't know anything. It's a typical skeptical argument. Skeptics just claim that knowledge is not possible. And that's basically what he's saying here. Not only is knowledge not possible, but choice isn't possible. Just nothing is really possible. And he just throws shade on all of this. And one more thing, to say that conscious beings, and specifically humans, rational conscious beings, operate in the same way as unconscious material is just a fallacy. It's just wrong. It's refusing to acknowledge the identity of things. Clearly, things that are conscious are different from just material that is not conscious. Namely, in the sense that things that are conscious are volitional. Volitional means that they make choices. They have intent. It would make no sense for consciousness to have volition if it basically meant the same thing as being unconscious and unvolitional. This is just conflating things for no reason. This is typical of scientists, everyone from biologists to physicists and so forth. They have a difficult time just describing how material can give rise to consciousness. And this is strictly an empirical view. Well, they need a little bit of rationalism. It's good to start with empiricism, but empiricism will not explain consciousness, and it definitely won't explain choice, and it doesn't explain concepts either. Right? We have concepts, and they are immaterial, and they are real. So how this happens, that's a good question. Hopefully, we'll be able to answer it one day, but we're not going to be able to answer it through strictly a material or materialistic explanation. Just how it is. So this was me actually thinking today. Let me know if you think I'm doing a good job, and especially if you think I was doing a bad job, and I'll see you in the next one.